What's cracking, everyone? Welcome to Whiskey and RPGs. My name is Solomon SK and hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday. But yeah, we got a lot of news to cover. If you guys got your glasses ready with your beverage of choice, let's hang out and cover the news together. Cheers to you guys. So the first bit of news comes from MMORPG.com. New World looks at PvE content called Corrupted Breaches. And it reads on to say, what exactly are Corrupted Breaches? The team discusses them, or describes them thusly. The Corrupted seek to stain and dominate with their vile presence. They do this by ripping open the ground and flooding the area with corrupted creatures and structures. As a player, when you go about establishing your settlement or fort, the force known as the Corrupted will start to show up in your area. This makes travel and resource gathering difficult. You can also destroy these things. Doing so requires an Azoth infused staff to seal the breach. And once you've done this, you are naturally rewarded for your efforts. The post notes that as you become more powerful, so do the breaches. And so when I read that, it actually reminded me of the MMO called Rift, and it was named thusly for the gameplay where players gather around a rift and you're supposed to fight these monsters that spawn from it, kind of like a portal, and you'd get rewarded after you seal up these rifts. I know Defiance did something similar to this, and other MMOs probably do a variation of this in the form of like a boss timer that you see in Guild Wars 2 and Black Desert Online. But it goes on to read, there are a few different types of corrupted breaches as well. One called the Corrupted Monolith. A group of corrupted zealots have unearthed a towering ancient monolith, empowering it to spread corruption throughout the land. Corrupted Portal, and this is probably more so attuned to a typical rift. Corrupted acolytes are opening a portal to bring forces of their army into the territory. And lastly, Infested Grove. Corrupted Azoth has pulled under the earth, splitting the ground and giving rise to a twisted corrupted monstrosity. And it's of my opinion that they all pretty much do the same thing, but just in various forms, which isn't a bad thing. Variety is definitely a good thing in my opinion. But yeah, just looking at the comments here, a lot of people seem to be very happy about it. I think a lot of people were concerned about this game leaning more towards PvP than PvE, and so some people are rejoicing of the fact that they're getting PvE content updates as well. So this one's pretty cool. We head on over to Gematsu.com. Sabotage Studio announces Sea of Stars, a turn-based RPG prequel story to The Messenger for consoles and PC. Kickstarter campaign seeking $133,000 in funding for 2022 release. And it goes on to read, Sabotage Studios has announced Sea of Stars, a turn-based RPG inspired by the 90s classics and a prequel story to the previous title The Messenger. And I believe this game actually, The Messenger that they talk about, is a game that came out about a year or two ago. The developer has simultaneously launched a Kickstarter campaign seeking $133,000 to fund the project. The game is planned for release on consoles and PC via Steam in 2022. So if we head on over to their Kickstarter page, they actually met their goal and surpassed it by a large amount. As of recording, they're at $171,807. Although the article said that they were looking for $133,000, the pledge goal seems to have decreased since, and it's at $92,346. But either way, they met their goal. A lot of fans for this game, a lot of backers, and they still have about a month left to go. So good on them. And we head on over to altchar.com, and this is about a Borderlands show episode 6 to bring a closer look to their new DLC. And I do apologize, it is cut off on the right there. But it goes on to read that episode of the show will start on 24th of March at 4 p.m. GMT and will go on until 5 a.m. GMT on the 25th of March. Guns, Love, and Tentacles, the marriage of Wainwright and Hammerlock, will launch on 26th of March 2020, but the show on the 24th will feature hands-on impressions. It also goes on to read that Greg, Fran, Mitsu, and Anthony will be discussing the major free content add-ons coming to Borderlands 3 this April, and thus elaborate on the spring 2020 roadmap. For one, that's a very interesting title. It almost makes me want to play the game just to see what that's about. But yeah, if you are a Borderlands 3 fan, you got some content coming your way. In my personal opinion, I find this to be the most interesting MMO news so far, and this is brought to you by MassivelyOP.com. Microsoft is using cloud computing to make unbeatable raid bosses. It goes on to read that Microsoft apparently is using cloud computing in order to help game developers make raid bosses learn player behavior and fight back. According to software engineer James Trott, Microsoft has been working on an MMO-like project last year that featured a raid boss that was capable of noticing dominant player strategies and adjusting its behavior in nearly real time. Apparently, this new machine learning technology can be leveraged by game developers in the next console generation. In fact, this new AI system is apparently so good at what it does, Trott advises developers to tone it down. And this is really exciting, just because if this could be applied to MMO raid bosses, this could be applied to other aspects of all kinds of gamings, in my opinion. And having a raid boss that could learn player feedback, in my opinion, can definitely help make MMOs less stagnant, less of a grind, if you will, which a lot of MMOs have a problem with, unfortunately. But this is really cool and very interesting. I'm excited to see what kind of stuff that they put out for MMO players in hopefully the near future. And in other funding news, we head on over to MMORPG.com. MMO Dev Mainframe raises $8.3 million for cloud narrative games. It goes on to read, after an investment from Riot Games, that's pretty interesting, Mainframe Industries has raised $8.3 million for cloud narrative games. Goes on to read, Mainframe Industries is founded by former CCP, Remedy Entertainment, and Next Games devs. They're currently working on cloud narrative MMO, the details of which are unknown at present. Thor Gunnarsson, I believe I'm saying his name correctly, I apologize if I'm not, CEO, shared the following: "We are starting from the ground up with no legacy to constrain us. Across a mobile, PC, or console, all platforms are equally strong." So after I read this, admittedly, I had no idea what cloud narrative MMO meant, so I looked it up and I came across an article from TechCrunch. Like I said, from TechCrunch.com, they're saying it's a sandbox MMO designed for cloud streaming built on Epic Games' Unreal Engine. But they aren't building a cloud gaming tech, but instead building an MMO title that's designed from the get-go for streaming platforms like Google Stadia or Microsoft xCloud. It goes on to read, what does being cloud native game entail? Mainly, it seems to mean that they're creating a social title that is as fully playable on mobile as it is on PC and console. I personally do think that cloud gaming is the future of the industry, but there are some obvious hurdles that are in the way, primarily internet speeds. But I'm guessing the market isn't ready for that kind of type of product yet. I mean, just look at the quote-unquote success of Google Stadia, for example. But will it happen in our lifetime? I think so. But until then, until we really know what kind of MMO this is, I will reserve my opinions on whether it would be a good game or not. So heading back to MMORPG.com, Ragnarok Online receives Transcendent classes. It goes on to read, the update raises the maximum job level up to 70 and allows characters to transcend into the advanced version of their classes, obtaining new skills, items, and appearance. There seems to be sort of like a server first type of thing that's going on with their leveling up contest, if you will. First player to reach the 90/70 after rebirth will get the unique crown named after his character. Also, the first player to get 99/70 level in his Transcendent class will receive a Crown of Glory. And I assume that those are the equivalent of, say, World of Warcraft's server first titles and stuff like that. Additionally, 2 high level dungeons have been also added: the mysterious ruins of Jupuros and a 3rd floor of the dismal bio laboratory. And finally, a party bonus is also included, boosting the gained experience depending on the number of party members up to 133% for the party of 12 members. You will also receive a 25% XP bonus until March 23rd. So Fractured is an MMO I'm slowly getting to know more as I cover it, and heading on back over to massivelyop.com, Fracture's next round of alpha testing adds social features, new abilities, and stealth gameplay. Now they do note that it's a sandbox MMORPG that's top-down, very similar to Lost Ark. And it goes on to read, the new round of alpha, a wide variety of social features like parties, guilds, and land ownership will be available to test, as well as a new starting area, a number of new abilities for several classes, and new critters to test them out on, as well as new stealth mechanics. This alpha build will be available for a minimum of 2 weeks starting on Wednesday, March 25th, and as before, the alpha is only available to those who've bought the Fractured with a Legend Founders pack. We head on back over to MMORPG.com. Black Desert Online starts a wildlife charity drive, gifts players with epic set of gear, and this is kind of all part of their overall anniversary events. But it goes on to read, Black Desert has started a wildlife charity drive and are gifting you in epic gear. The press release notes that the Save the Wildlife charity event sees players taking part in an in-game event in which their contribution will help build towards a sizable donation to the Worldwide Fund for Nature. And lastly, this week also sees the start of a highly anticipated suppressed boss gear. And in this event, you actually get tri-level boss gear, which is a pretty sizable and powerful level for your weapons and armors. When I first started out playing this game and I tried to enhance my weapons and armors to tri-level, it took a lot of failures, as a lot of Black Desert Online players will know. And in all honesty, it probably took me nearly a year, and that's pretty much doing everything by myself. So the fact that Pearl Abyss is giving new players pretty powerful gear to start out with, to kind of jumpstart their grinding and kind of be able to hang with like some of the more older players, I think that's pretty cool. And sticking with MMORPG.com, Jester's festival hits Elder Scrolls Online March 26th. It goes on to read, Jester's festival pavilions are located outside Ebonheart, Volkill Guard, and Daggerfall. You'll receive a reward in the form of Pi Misral Memento. I think that's how you say it. And what this Pi does, they go on to read, you'll receive a 2-hour 100% XP buff. You don't need to complete this quest again if you've previously done so. Just grab the memento from your collections. It goes on to read, you'll receive a reward box for every festival quest you complete. These can contain consumables, recipes, furnishings, and revelry pies, or I don't know how to, sorry. And once you complete a quest for the first time daily, you'll receive a stupendous gift box, which may include Cadwell's Kitchen Arm style pages, fragments of 2 mementos, and fragments for a sovereign so pet, just to name 3. Sticking with MMORPG.com, Blade and Soul previews items and systems ahead of Forgotten Souls update. It goes on to read, these additions and changes come with the Forgotten Souls update on March 25th, with the complete list of changes arriving in patch notes on March 24th. In the meantime, the post includes new PvE belts and necklaces. A new PvE ring is also discussed, obtained by using the Anyanka ring. I believe that's how you say it. Other accessory changes include significant evolution, cost reductions for Imperial necklace and belts. PvP bonus effects have also been updated as well. I'm really hoping that all this is leading up towards the Blade and Soul update that Korea got, where they updated the graphic engines. In massivelyop.com, Dauntless introduces a new escalation mode, new monster, and new cosmetics in the Scorched Earth update. It goes on to read, yesterday we saw Dauntless kick out what it touts as one of the biggest updates of the year, the Scorched Earth update, and it introduces a fiery new Blaze escalation, an updated and revamped battle pass, and a gorilla made of lava. Said lava gorilla is the Torgadoro? Yeah, that. This update has also brought new hunt pass with several changes to how it works, as well as new cosmetics to earn. And sticking with massivelyop.com, Lord of the Rings Online and Dungeons and Dragons Online just made most content free for the next few weeks. The studio wrote this morning, "We are making all our adventures and stories open to everyone through April 30th. In addition, we'll be running extra events for the games." Heading back over to MMORPG.com, Lineage 2 Essence receives fluffy reinforcement updates. It goes on to read, "Every companion has unique skills and levels up in battles, and each uses its own type of weapon. The pet evolves at levels 40 and 76. He changes appearance and gains additional skills as well." Also, Population Zero will give away 5,000 free copies. Additionally, these keys provide access to all future betas as well, with the next round starting March 21st. The giveaway is hosted on Gleam, with the press release citing the ongoing fight against the virus that shall not be named because of YouTube as the reason why. And lastly, over at massivelyop.com, TERA brings the Forsaken Island dungeon to console after more than 2 weeks of delay. And it also features rewards like Phantom Armor, cosmetic items in normal mode, and a Ghost Pig mount in hard mode as well. And that does it for today's MMO and RPG news roundup. I do appreciate if you guys made it with me so far. I just wanted to let you know that even though things are kind of bad right now, it does seem like the new cases of that thing that I can't mention in China and South Korea have actually been on the decline. So hopefully that is a foreshadow of things to come for the rest of the world as well. So, I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But anyways, I don't want to talk your ear off. Again, I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. Have a blessed night, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.